What does the retro USB ABS and the analog Super NT have in common? Well, they're both FPGA consoles, and both of them allow you to do a specific thing, and that's to do a one-to-one hardware emulation based on whatever system it is targeting. For example, the retro USB ABS is a 720p NES clone that works and performs just like an NES with a whole bunch of extra bells and whistles, and it is a awesome piece of hardware. Same thing for analog Super NT. It's basically a souped up Super Nintendo Entertainment System that works on modern televisions and doesn't have a lot of lag to it. It really is a very approachable way to getting into classic game consoles without having to spend a whole bunch of money on things like RGB upscalers like the MiSTer or the Retro Tank. So out of the many FPGA consoles that are out there, there is one that I've avoided until just recently. I have decided to pick up a MiSTer. And we're going to talk about in this video why the MiSTer suddenly appealed to me in terms of playability, as well as things that is just going on in my life. So without further ado, welcome to another episode of Gamer Logic, and today we're talking about the MiSTer and moving. So hi guys, I'm Mike Murtis, and thanks for taking the time to watch yet another video of mine. I know it's been a little while, but I figured this was a great topic of discussion because MiSTer has a lot of controversy with it because it's shying away from your traditional cartridges and stuff that you can plug in. But it's really come a long way. There's additional things being built for it, and for some reason it just felt like now is the time to get into it and explore the many different options that are out there. Now, for those of you who don't know what MiSTer is, though it is a pretty common word in the dictionary of video gamers, this is basically a FPGA-based box that will allow you to emulate things based on certain cores. I'll get into the cores in a little bit, but this has been something I've been looking at off and on for a while, and I've put it off because I was like, I got all these game cartridges, I got my flash carts, I really don't have a need for this. Until just recently, I have been looking at a lot of classic computers. I own a Commodore 64, but you really can't do any RGB stuff without modding it. It doesn't have a great video picture, especially when I'm trying to do things for the magazine. I am trying to keep it as accurate as possible and really don't want to go into the realm of software emulation. There's other things out there that are amazing as well, like Amigas and stuff. The Sharp X8600, or is it 86,000? Oh, the number escapes me, but I know it's damn expensive, right? And as much as I am able to just, throw money at that stuff and, get something from Japan or wherever these consoles may reside, I just don't have the room anymore. And the price continues to go up for it. The condition continues to vary for the stuff. And it's like, man, do I really want to take the plunge in trying to pick up some of these systems and have them A, not work, or B, pick them up and not really have much access to a software library for it? So I'm looking around and MiSTer comes into my head. I'm like, I wonder how MiSTer is doing in terms of progress. So I start doing a search. Where's the best place to get a MiSTer? You can easily build these yourself by just getting the components and putting it together. I mean, it's just circuit boards that you're basically inputting into each other. It's not rocket science to put it together, but I figured let's just get one that's already produced, put together. It's got everything you need on it, and I'll be ready to go. And yeah, it's probably going to cost me a couple extra bucks, but whatever. I just want to have it ready to go from a hardware perspective. So I decided to go with the most reliable source in the United States based on forums and stuff I was reading, and that is MiSTer add-ons. And what you can see from here is this is what I picked up. This is a MiSTer pre-configured bundle with no case, so you'll have to get a case for it. But this is what you're looking at. You're looking at a triple stack board here that has a few different things on it. You got your USB ports, and then you got your USB hub here to give you those more ports. You got your Ethernet NIC, you've got your HDMI out, and then you have a few other things that work along with the DE10 Nano board. That's basically the box that is running the FPGA capabilities to get you going. You know, you get the power adapter, you get the 128 megs of SD RAM, which is needed for cores like Neo Geo. Again, I'll talk about the cores in a little bit. And you can choose between a standard I/O board as well as a digital. The differences, and the reason I went with the standard I/O board is because it's got built-in analog video. It enables dual digital, and analog video output. So along with this, I actually got the VGA to component cable. So when I get this thing, I can easily take it, plug it into my BVM. The BVM is that little guy down there that was graciously donated to me by a friend and co-worker. Ever so thankful for. So I can plug it into that and then run another component video cable out to my MiSTer and be able to record in 240p or upscaled video. And I'm sure there's other options to it too, but I really want to put this through my BVM because I want to get that full RGB spectrum of color. So this kind of shows you what the differences are too. It's a little tiny for a screenshot, so I'm gonna squint with you here, but the standard's got the analog video for digital, so I mentioned that, the analog audio output, and then it's got the mini toslink, and it's got the power switch and spare if you decide to go to the digital board. I'm more interested in the analog stuff, so again, that's why I decided to go with the standard board. So yeah, I ordered this thing. It is pending arrival in about a day or two, and I've already been putting together the operating system on it as well as downloading cores. What are cores? Cores are basically the core system that you are attempting to do a hardware emulation for. So for example, there is a NES core, and that core's job and the programming behind it basically tells the FPGA chip on the motherboard, act like this, do the hardware emulation for this. And again, saying emulation with an FPGA device gets a little dicey because people get angry about it. I think hardware emulation is kind of a fair assessment rather than saying it's just a straight up emulator, because it's different than your standard software emulator that you're running on a PC. But that's a whole a different deal. But if you go to the MiSTer development page, basically the MiSTer wiki, I mean, it'll tell you everything that you need to know about this thing. And it's an open source project that allows you to run computers, game consoles, and arcade machines using modern hardware that is pretty accurate. So the various systems are known as cores, and that's what it replicates. So what cores are out there that you can actually get? And this is, again, what totally excited me about picking up a MiSTer, because like I said, I got this huge game collection. I've got the original systems, I got modern FPGA consoles. Why the heck would I want to get this thing? And I mentioned the computers, right? Well, to take a look at all of the classic computer FPGA cores that this has, the Acorn, the Amiga, the Apple I, the Apple II, the Macintosh Plus, the Atari ST, the Commodore 16, the Commodore 64, the PET, the VIC-20, the MSX, which I have, but man, the ability to use that would be awesome. The ZX Spectrum and the ZX Spectrum NEX. You know, the Speccy, as it's called over in the UK, is a super popular console, super powerful microcomputer, I guess, which would be the more accurate statement to say. And it's so beloved over there. And I always remember going through Retro Gamer magazine, or I'm sorry, Retro magazine, and just being really like, I don't know, like I didn't really care just because I've never played it before, and that's a bad way to look at things. It could be a super awesome system, but then Here's the Sharp, the X68000. So I had 1-0 to my original comment in the beginning, but super excited about that. And some of these cores are still being worked on. They're still being ironed out as far as issues and stuff, but a lot of them are super 100% accurate, if not more accurate than stuff that you can get on the analog. Another reason, classic consoles in terms of stuff that do not have RGB or even composite or S-video out to it, like the Atari 2600, the Atari 5200, the Odyssey. That stuff, and the ColecoVision especially, doesn't have great video options for capturing. You have to put stuff through a VCR, and then it's really lousy signal, and you really can't tap into a great video signal without modding it. With this, I don't have to do that, and I should have a fairly accurate core to be able to reproduce what the original hardware was there. I'm super excited about the Game Boy Advance stuff too, and the original Game Boy stuff, to get a really good look at that. And there's other stuff on here too. There's chess. There's plenty of arcade cores, and that's another thing that super excites me about the MiSTer, guys, is, I have a pretty sizable arcade in my basement. I have about 10 to 12 cabinets. I have 4 pinball machines, and I love my arcade cabinets, and there is nothing that can reproduce the feeling of actually being at a cabinet and playing those games. However, when it comes time to record footage from those, there's devices out there that you can get. Obviously, there's other ways to do it. You can emulate through an Xbox, but there is stuff that's available on the MiSTer core that is like 100% accurate. If we click on the arcade cores here, this will give you a general idea. Arkanoid, Asteroids, games from the Bally Midway hardware, Burger Time, Breakout, Centipede, the CPS-1, the Capcom Play System, the very first one. I think the second one's being worked on too, but that includes games like Street Fighter and Strider and Ghosts and Goblins, stuff like that. That is supposed to have unbelievable 100% accuracy to the original hardware, which is awesome, right? So I'm super excited about this because more and more stuff keeps getting added. I would really look forward to seeing like PC-88 stuff. That is the computer over in Japan that has a ton of great games for it, to be able to check those out without having to figure out, how am I going to import one? How am I going to pay for shipping? How do I know it works? How do I know the monitor works? All that stuff. So this is just so versatile that it's going to allow me to do so, and it's going to be accurate, and it's going to work with my existing setup, which I am super excited about. And finally, there's another possibility of why the MiSTer may be a perfect fit for me. There is a possibility that we may be moving. And when we move, what is the question of what is coming with? I mean, talking perfect world scenario here, this house would still exist. It would still be in our possession, even though we would be moving somewhere else. It's a long story, but there is potential for that. And with that, like, look at all the crap. I don't want to say crap because I love this stuff. But this is a lot of stuff to move to what could potentially be a smaller place to live. So you really have to ask yourself, if I had to move, what would I take? I mean, I got my fancy lights, I got my great computer set up, I have the BVM, I have all these consoles, the kiosks, I have my arcade machines downstairs, I have all my cartridge games. I can't take it all with me. I mean, I could, but it'd be a massive pain in the ass. So you have to ask yourself, what can you live with if you were to essentially have 2 locations that you were living out that were, thousands of miles away from each other? And off the top of my head, I'd take this computer because I use it for work consistently, both my main jobs and my side jobs. I could probably use it to actually do music production, so I could leave my existing music production stuff here, because that's a whole nother thing, guys. I mean, I produce music, podcasts, videos, all sorts of stuff, and that's on an entirely separate machine, but I'd want to have the option to have both, so this one would probably come with me. And then console-wise, what would come with? Would I bring my originals? Would I bring all my, SCART adapters and upscaled consoles? Or would I just grab my analog stuff? Or would I just grab the MiSTer and put everything on a memory card? And if it's just as accurate as this stuff and just as accurate as the analog stuff, could I live on just a single MiSTer FPGA console or FPGA box, whatever you want to call it, and then just bring my modern console stuff with me, like my Xbox Series X and my PlayStation 5 and my Nintendo Switch, and just acquire a TV at wherever we may be, wherever we may be going, right? So many questions there. And then what about the arcade stuff? I mean, technically, I could play that on the MiSTer too. I just need to bring an arcade stick. If I could bring one machine, I'd probably bring my new Astro City with, but again, real pain in the ass to pull out of the basement and move somewhere else. So I guess that kind of leaves me to a question to you guys. When you've had to move, have you ever had to, part ways with parts of your collection? Have you done something potentially similar to what we may be doing, and that's possibly living between two different places at different time periods? What did you decide to take with you? If you were put in that situation, what would you take with out of my collection or your collection to make sure that you could have the best of both worlds? Because you may be in this place for 6 months and then at the other place for 6 months. And I just really think that the MiSTer console has a way to help with the majority of that. And then when it's time to enjoy whatever else, well, always have it here. So that's the question, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this look at MiSTer. And when I get the thing, when I start playing it, I'll definitely be talking about this and the moving topic more. But I'm excited about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, thumbs up, share it, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. You know the drill. Thanks for watching. See you guys. Thanks for taking the time to watch Gamer Logic. If you enjoyed what you just watched, please take a moment and leave a thumbs up on this video. If you think someone else would enjoy this video, please share it, and don't forget to subscribe to see future Gamer Logic videos. If you'd like more Gamer Logic content, then be sure to follow me on Instagram for daily photos and videos full of fantastic video game related content. On Facebook, be sure to check out the official Gamer Logic Facebook page for even more content. See you next time!